Good morning. This is Pastor Ezekiel Johnson of Great Commission Pentecostal Church with a word of encouragement. You know, sometimes the very object or the goal of obstacles, sometimes negative things being in our path, is for us to have a moment where we're not in control, where maybe we actually stumble and we fall and we're broken. Sometimes the goal to be achieved is our brokenness. And God understands better than anybody else how important that is. Even though if it runs, conflictious with what we want to be in terms of where we're trying to go or what we do or don't want to face in life. God knows the necessity of some trials. God knows the necessity of some things that are unpleasant in our lives. Such is the case, the Bible talks about in Matthew 14, where Jesus does this notable miracle that is profound, where there are people that are with him, he has compassion on them, and he feeds the 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. And then immediately the Bible lets us see this new scene that's developing where Jesus is still teaching, and he constrains or commands that his disciples get into the ship and go to the other side. His disciples do as he said, not thinking anything of it. But as they're going to the other side, Jesus goes up into the mountain and prays. But the Bible says that he's watching them. Now here's the fascinating thing about this time. The Jews, of course, they have their day broken up, or their night rather, broken up into 4 segments of 3 hours. So it starts at 6 o'clock in the evening, and then the next segment starts at 9 o'clock in the evening to 12, and then the next segment from 12 to 3, and the next segment from 3 to 6. Those are watches, as they would say, of the night. So the Bible says that Jesus went into the mountain, and he's praying, and he's watching his disciples. And here's something notable that happens. A storm arises on the sea, and the Bible says that they are now toiling in their rowing. In other words, they are rowing one way and the wind is blowing the opposite way. The wind is contrary to them. So they're going nowhere. They are facing a negative situation and it looks bad. And here's the worst part of it. Jesus is nowhere to be seen. And so they are alone. But sometimes God has to allow you to face certain circumstances to bring something out, to bring a particular end out, to bring about a certain change in your life. Such is the case here. He had to allow his disciples to go through this time. This was necessary. Because what we see that happens at the end, the Bible says at that 4th watch, Jesus comes walking on the water. And Peter cries out to him, "Lord, if that's you, bid me come." And Jesus says, "Come." And then Peter does something that no human being has ever done before. And without giving it a lot of thought, he steps out on the water and begins walking towards Jesus. That would have never occurred. And you see, Peter had that experience for the rest of his life to be in his mind. His experience with Jesus, how Jesus had allowed him to go through such a turbulent few hours to bring him to the point that he would be willing to do something that in his right mind, without thinking, he would never do. But God knew it was necessary for him to go through that particular kind of storm to bring out that faith out of Peter. Jesus had it dead right when he chose this particular guy to be the one that would be the spokesman that would preach on the day of Pentecost, because he knew what was inside of him. And sometimes God allows the negative things in life to bring out of us what he knows is there. You know, he said to a group of people that he had to punish one time, he said to his people Israel, "I know my thoughts towards you that are for good and not for evil, to bring you to an expected end." These people had just been captured by one of the most vicious armies and they were taken captive. And then in their captivity, God sends a message through his messenger to tell them that, hey, I don't have bad thoughts towards you. You just went through something, but at the same time, my thoughts towards you are good and not for evil. And here's to cap it all off. I'm going to bring you to the expected end that you desire. And I'm here to tell you that the Bible says that all things work together for the good of them that love God and are the called according to his purpose. And that's all things. God knows how to mix this salad of many different types of events together to bring about what he's desiring and what he's promised in your life. Be blessed. Have a wonderful day.